want to show people that you can rear children without aggressive methods. And so, in other words, not teach children to be aggressive themselves so that they can get the love and support they need for their own development.
What was your last school like?
Oh, this school's better. In one school, one thing you got, you weren't allowed to cry. I didn't cry. And sometimes they smack you, hit you.
What do you mean you weren't allowed to cry?
You weren't allowed to be upset, otherwise you'd get hit.
What happens if you cry in this school?
Nothing, you just,
Somebody comforts you. Somebody comforts you.
If you cry in this school, somebody comforts you. What do you mean?
Like the teacher.
What does the teacher do?
She asks what's wrong and stuff. What makes you feel better.
Other schools that I've taught in, the children, I'd say, were less self-motivated than they are here. There's a more relaxed feeling about the learning that they're doing here, and the reason that it's more relaxed is that the children don't need to fear that they're not going to do as well as the others, because there isn't that pressure put on them to succeed, so that they're more able to just proceed at their own pace, and if they're having difficulty, that's no big problem.
What's it like for you when new kids come to the school from different schools?
Well, sometimes it's really hard, kind of, because they have different views on all these things. They sort of like think the teachers are more like a figure of power. Not like they can, can talk to them and all this kind of stuff like that. And so they just sort of don't act towards them like you would to a friend or something.
Is that strange to you?
Yeah, I think it's really weird because, through school, I know all the teachers quite well, and they're more like friends than big beasts. Like, they don't have good relationships with their teachers in the past, so they're sort of bringing it here.
How long does it take them a while to adjust to the school? Do they end up being able to adjust to the change?
Yeah, they usually do. It won't take all that long. But after a while, they'll be normal.
Primary children spend more time at play here. We find it very important for them to work out their own social problems, to be able to have more physical activity, running around and so forth, and play is a natural learning situation. Teacher-instilled competition, I think, is dangerous educationally. It sets one child against the other, and the child that is good at things doesn't need anything extra in the way of encouragement as a rule. They're happy to achieve for their own ends.
An old man who lives in a house, just a description of the character. Okay, so what do you think?
I think of one.
The handling of children must be without moralism. Although I think that it's fair enough if they get annoyed at times and show annoyance, it is not appropriate for them to become nasty. We don't use the word naughty. It's the naughty child to us is the anxious child, and the child with a problem. Every child that presents with difficult behaviour, misbehaviour, or naughtiness is called elsewhere, needs help, and it needs direction and care, and most of all love and affection. These are the things that are important to us in looking at child behaviour. And the same goes in the learning situation. I won't ever condone the use of the word lazy at Marbury. Words like lazy and naughty are very emotive words that are not useful descriptive words in relation to children. But they do lead to all sorts of attitudes being expressed about children and to children that are not productive for the child.
I want to be left when impact.
I feel that the freedom is not being told what you have to do and not being pushed into anything. Like, I remember when I was here and I was much younger in primary school, if I didn't want to go to class and I wasn't told to go and I wasn't forced into it, it was up to me. And the same thing happens as you get older. You might have to go to class, but if you don't want to go and you don't want to work, then you won't. You're not told to leave because you're not keeping up the standard. It's the students, it's in themselves to have the enthusiasm to work so that they can get where they want to.
So what do you think the effect of that has been on you, early experiences of not having to go to class?
It really makes you get your act together though, because it's up to you to how far you want to go. And if you want to pass, then you work. So it just depends on
your own
individual.
It's much freer here, and I really like that. And it's really funny because we get to call teachers by their first name, which I have never done. So I really like that. Yeah, it's given me the independence that I've never had. And we joke a lot, in classes.
Does that detract from the
No,
study?
not really. It's related to it. Yeah. The jokes are related to what we're doing, and it sticks in our mind more.
A dog at the house moves me to stand. I will take the word of any man or maid of Montague.
The quarrel is between our masters and us their men.
'Tis all one. I will shew myself a tyrant. Once I have fought with the men, I will be civil with the maids. I will cut off their heads.
The heads of the maids?
Aye, or their maiden heads. Take it
You
at one
can't gesture at Capulet with the sword, right? I mean, he's the leader of a noble house, this guy. I mean, this is an important fella, right? So keep your sword down. You, Capulet, right? Sword down. Try it again. Nice and tough. Go.
You, Capulet, shall go along with me.
That's right.
And Montague, you come this up.
That's
right.
Yep.
Arise, fair Simon, kill the envious moon, whose body is sick and pale with grief. Thou, her maid, art far more fair than she.
Good night, sweet reposing rest. Cover thy hardest within thy breast.
Or wilt thou leave me so unsatisfied?
What satisfaction canst thou have tonight?
Big stand for thy love, faithful vow for mine.
No, Leonard, I think...
Yeah. All right, I stopped yesterday. Like everything I did, you'd stop me, and I just couldn't.
Well, that's because I hated it. I hated it. It looked all so...
Yeah, but I didn't get going. I wasn't...
Well, maybe if I don't interrupt then, and I just say, okay, well, we do it all the way through, and he can stay in character. But I hate it when I see him going...
Why don't you be romantic? I think it's going to be really hard for him to be romantic if you want him to be rigid and tense.
Yeah, I agree with that.
No, but see, I'm not very good at this sort of thing, but I know what I know what I want, but it's not what...
Romeo isn't familiar with the situation. It's the first time he's been in this strange place where he's going to be killed. He's not going to be going flopping everywhere. I agree with you, Leslie.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. That's what I'm trying to say.
I do not agree with you.
Yeah, what are you saying?
Yeah, okay. I'm saying that he can't...
Has anyone ever seen this guy when he's been in love? That's the problem. Well, we got to know. Yes. Well, is he all floppy and hopeless?
Yes.
I rest my case. What can you say?
No, Leonard, I think...
pretty unusual school, but how does it compare to your other schools academically?
It's better. Heaps.
Why?
Well, you have a better relationship with your teachers, so it's easy to get along with them, so you want to learn more. And at my old school, we just sort of, none of us wanted to learn, we just sat in the classroom, mucked around, didn't do much.
What about when a problem happens in the school, what's usually the way that's dealt with in this school?
Well, there's no real punishment, like they don't have detention or stuff like that, and they have a meeting with everyone, and they get together and they talk about it with the principal, Mag, and generally they almost always sort it out, even, you know, like even though it rarely happens, something like if someone steals something, which has happened in my 7 years about 3 times, it's always been returned. You know, Mag's sort of got a power over them. It's really strange. The thing is, it always is returned.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's probably because the kids like the school and they don't want to. It's hard to explain. Yeah, probably because they like the school and they like to stay.
That's the one I want brought up.
Margaret's influence has been enormous for me as a teacher, and particularly when I came here with very young children, she taught me a great deal about handling. So I think probably the best moments of the school are when things are worked out in meetings, or particularly in meetings, because then you feel more as just one of the community, just one voice among, with no more impact than anyone else. You can ask Margaret what's going on, what's happening, and in that way you learn as much about yourself as you do about the children, because you find that your own perhaps moralistic or punitive attitudes are coming through, even though you mightn't be aware of it at the time, and then you work on where these are coming from and what you're going to do about it.